and I returned to Chicago yesterday, 11 degrees. I took the bus into town and was surprised when the driver kicked someone off. It was a belligerent man who had been arguing with him over what seemed to me like nothing. After a few minutes, the passengers started putting their 2 cents in, and not long afterward, the guy was thrown off. "I hope he freezes to death," the driver shouted after he'd closed the door. The first Chicago baby of 1988 was born a few minutes after midnight. A suburban limo service had promised a special ride to the child and its parents, and other businesses had made similar offers. On the news tonight, they showed the mother and father receiving a box of fine cigars and a dozen roses before getting into the back seat of a Rolls Royce. According to the reporter, the two are not married. Both are 16 years old, black, and from the West Side. They looked very happy. January 6th. It is bitterly cold out tonight. I was on Irving Park Road walking past Graceland Cemetery on my way home from the IHOP when a van pulled over and the driver motioned at me. I ignored him and he followed slowly behind me and honked. When the window came down, I saw that the guy was missing a few teeth and that he wasn't much older than me. He asked where I was going, and when I said home, he asked if he could do anything for me. That stretch of Irving is usually busy with prostitutes. If he thought that's what I was, then the rules have definitely changed since I left Chicago for the holidays. Here I was wearing 2 coats, 2 hats, and glasses. I thought of accepting a ride, but said that I was fine walking. Get into a car with a stranger on that stretch of Irving, and you can't really complain should something awful happen. January 11th. I ran into Shirley on Broadway in Irving. She was meeting around Kyler, the only other native-born American in the building. Shirley wears an overcoat, a house dress, and slacks all at the same time. She only has one visible tooth, and it's on the bottom. I asked about Ray, the man she lived with, and she told me he passed away on August 30th of cancer or something. Ray was always drunk. He wore ski caps like Shirley does and women's glasses. "He died on me," was how she put it. She said that her brother had died on her too. Then she laughed like they were off somewhere, hiding together. January 13th. Davy G was on Wilson Avenue walking behind a large woman in a thin winter coat. The pawn shop hadn't shoveled their sidewalk, and there was only a narrow path in front of it, bordered by snow-covered ice. 2 Mexican girls were coming from the other direction, and just as they reached the start of the path, the large woman shouted, "Out of the way, bitches! This is my country!" January 14th. Last week on Montrose and Magnolia, I noticed a flyer for a missing cat named Brutus, and this afternoon, in a vacant lot, I think I found him. Big and black with ragged ears. He was dead and frozen solid. I called the number on the flyer and told the woman, who answered, where she could find the body. "I hope I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Brutus," I said. She asked if the dead cat had nappy ears, and I said yes. What I didn't say was that I think the body had been kicked up and down the street. It was scuffed, and a lot of the fur had been worn away. The woman sounded very distressed on the phone. The postman mentioned $100 reward, but I didn't bring it up, figuring it only applied if Brutus was returned alive. January 17th. There's a Wheat Bolts not far away, so yesterday I ducked my head in. The store sells dress shirts for $6. They sell a line of denim jackets that have love and peace already written across the backs of them. One of the cashiers, a teenage boy, wore a Gucci sweatshirt and a sketchy mustache. He was smoking, and when a customer stepped forward to pay, he laid the cigarette on the counter with the lid end hanging over the edge. When it fell to the floor, he sighed and stepped on it. Half the shelves in the store were empty, not because it's a popular place, but because no one restocked them. They're exhausted over at Wheat Bolts, like the Aldi grocery store further down Broadway. Their motto is, "Leave us alone. Let us smoke in peace, for God's sake." Goldblatt's is even worse. All the mannequins in our front windows are missing their fingers. January 27th. At the Underground Jackson L stop, I came upon a group of the 3 rappers. The song they were performing was about AIDS, a message to all facts, fairies, and dykes that they are history. They will die and everyone will be better for it. One rapper said in his side that he hoped there wasn't anyone with that shit standing next to him. A big crowd gathered to listen and they loved it. Everyone laughed and applauded. I received a letter from Susan Wheeler, who's in New York now, tempting at a company that makes dental rinses. For Christmas, her mother gave her a beautifully wrapped empty box, 3 pairs of queen-size pantyhose that are way too big for her, and $32. January 28th. I called about a job writing for a young person's cable show. The receptionist answered, Youth communication. Excuse me? It took me a while to realize he was saying youth communications. I eventually got through to the guy in charge, who told me I didn't want the job. He said he just had 2 people walk out on him, and I'd no doubt be the 3rd. I said all right and hung up.